Israeli chaos and new swing state polling President Biden really doesn't want. All that and more now on Graph's Grievances. Nearly 6 months into Israel's war in Gaza, Americans are fed up. 55% of them now telling Gallup they disapprove of Israel's military actions in the Palestinian territory, up 10 points from November. Disapproval with Israel rising with Democrats, Republicans, and independents alike. Meanwhile, support for the Jewish state's prosecution of the war in Gaza declining to just 36%. In November, 50% of Americans approved of Israel's war. This growing disconnect amongst Americans coming as Gazan health authorities report more than 32,000 Palestinians have been killed since Israel's war began in response to the October 7th Hamas-led terrorist attacks on the Jewish state. In addition, experts now warning of looming famine for the remaining 1.7 million people in Gaza as Israel severely restricts food and aid deliveries into the war-torn region. And make no mistake about it, this seemingly never-ending horror is being financed by the American taxpayers. Since Israel's founding 76 years ago, the United States has provided the country with more than $130 billion in military support. This generosity transforming the Israeli Defense Force into one of the world's most capable, effective militaries, in the hopes that a strong American-aligned democracy in the Middle East would bring stability to the region. And while I believe this widely bipartisan strategy was well intended, the inherent contradiction in Israel identifying as a Jewish democratic state meant that an existential crisis was always going to arise. It is inherently impossible for a democracy to favor one religion above all others. Yet that is exactly what Israel does. Jewish statehood means government by Jewish people. Yet there are a lot of people in and around Israel who are not Jewish and don't want to be treated like second-class citizens. This reality coming into focus for more Americans now than ever, as Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu employs billions of dollars in U.S. military assistance to torture and kill hundreds of thousands of innocent Palestinians instead of strategically targeting Hamas terrorists. And while President Biden has long prided himself on being a strong supporter of Israel, even alarmingly calling himself a Zionist, he is admirably changing his tune. Just yesterday, the president warning Netanyahu during a tense phone call that future U.S. support for Israel hinges on protecting civilians and aid workers in Gaza. Until now, the president had refused to curb the flow of arms to Israel in an attempt to influence their approach to the war. Biden also demanding an immediate ceasefire in Gaza and urging Netanyahu to empower negotiators to bring home Israeli hostages. This new, stern approach from President Biden towards Netanyahu coming just days after Israel killed 7 aid workers from World Central Kitchen in Gaza. The outrageous strike, which Netanyahu describes as a tragic mistake, drawing condemnation from around the globe, including here in the United States, where President Biden faces voters in November. And while history suggests that foreign affairs rarely impact presidential elections, things could be different this year. Younger voters, which Biden desperately needs to turn out for him to win re-election are more likely to sympathize with the Palestinians than the Israelis, with just 16% of Americans under 30 favoring more U.S. military assistance to Israel to help in its fight against Hamas. This, according to Pew Research. And all of this comes as Donald Trump appears to be leading President Biden in 6 of the 7 battleground states likely to decide the presidency. According to the Wall Street Journal, Trump holds narrow leads in Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania, while Biden leads in just Wisconsin. Of course, there is no telling what will happen between now and November, but I am of the belief that good policy is usually good politics. And therefore, President Biden needs to immediately acknowledge his current position towards Israel is not working, and immediately stop the flow of any additional weapons to Israel. All of America's attention should be focused on aiding the thousands of innocent, starving Palestinians who have had their lives destroyed by Israel and Hamas. Thank you for watching Graf's Grievances. Let me know what you think. Please like, subscribe, share, and please join me in the next one.